What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Canadian Football Fantasy Fix for Week 10 of the 2021 CFL season. I'm Ryan Coop here with your first depth chart update of the week. Week 10 kicks off tonight between the Ottawa Redblacks and the Toronto Argonauts. 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 Eastern is the start. It's going to be an interesting week this week with both Ottawa and Toronto playing two games. And both games counting against the fantasy totals and player prices adjusted accordingly. If you want players from either of these teams in for either game, you need to lock them in before the one tonight between Ottawa and Toronto. So I'm here to go through the depth chart update for this game. I'll have depth chart updates for the ones later in the week as well to get you set for those. But let's start with Ottawa and Toronto. And, of course, if you missed it, go back, check out. I've got previews for every single position for you to get ready for this week as well. So you can go back and check those out. But let's talk who's playing on either side in tonight's game. Let's start with the Ottawa side of things. Offensively, they're lining up pretty much exactly the same as they did last week in their big win over Edmonton. Caleb Evans getting his second career start, his second straight start. Fantastic game last time around. Led all quarterbacks in fantasy points last week. I'm really excited to see what Evans can do in his second start facing an Argos defense here. Taron Christian will be his backup once again. Maybe he'll spell in for a couple of plays, but Evans gets the start. He comes in at $7,500 this week, and if he starts both games, I think that's a great steal of a price for a quarterback. At running back, Timothy Flanders is the starter. Brendan Galanders is the backup. At wide receiver, R.J. Harris, Ryan Davis, Anthony Coombs, Kenny Stafford, and Nate Bahar are your starters, just like they were last week. Notable backups, Devontae Dedmon and Daniel Peterman. Dedmon backing up Ryan Davis, Peterman backing up Nate Bahar. Devontae Dedmon will be handling return duties again this week, and we'll see if he can make it 3 games in a row with a return touchdown, and I believe 3 games in a row with over 250 yards. Fantastic season so far for Dedmon. So much fun to watch. We'll see what he can put up this week in both games. On the defensive side of the ball, the Redblacks get a huge piece back with the addition of halfback Abdul Kanay. Kanay was the leading performer in that first game of the year where the defense stole the show in their win over Edmonton, and then he's been out on the 6-game injured list since then. Still no Sherrod Baltimore in the defensive backfield, but a huge piece back there with Abdul Kanay that should help shore things up a little bit for Ottawa in both of their games this week. The first one coming against Toronto on Wednesday, and then they do play, I believe it's Montreal on Monday later in the week. Looking at the Toronto side of things, McLeod Bethel Thompson gets the second straight start at quarterback. Nick Arbuckle not dressed, not ready to go. Bethel Thompson will start. Antonio Pipkin will be the backup. Coming off the bye week, before the bye, they pull out that win over the Montreal Alouettes. Good game for Bethel Thompson in that one, I thought. I'm excited to see what he does in at least one, if not 2 games this week. Notable players missing on offense for the Argos include John White at running back. So no John White. DJ Foster will get the starting spot at running back. He will be getting all of the reps. There's no running back other one on the roster. We've seen Foster, have some pretty good games, pretty decent value at his price point so far this season, but that was mostly in a backup role. He got in a couple carries, a couple catches. This time around as the starter, I really like, I had him as a yellow light earlier in the week before knowing White was out. Now DJ Foster goes to the green light category for me. $8,000 price, 2 games, even if he's not the only running back in the second one, I think he gets enough points in this one against Ottawa to be well on your way to a successful week from DJ Foster. The Argos will also be without wide receiver Eric Rogers for a second straight game. And Daniel Braverman is still not ready to go either. Still dealing with injuries to both of them. So at wide receiver, we've got Devaris Daniels, Damian Jean-Pierre, Ricky Collins Jr., Curley Gittins Jr., and Chandler Worthy. And I expect Chandler Worthy to do the bulk of the return duties again this week as well. He comes in at a $7,500 price due to the 2 games. He was the leading go-to guy for the Argos at receiver last game. I like Chandler Worthy. He had some success with Bethel Thompson in 2019. They're back together here again, and if he's handling returns and is playing in the starting role at receiver, especially in both these games this week, yeah, I like Chandler Worthy as an option. And I think there's some good value plays there potentially with Jean-Pierre and Gittins Jr. as well. The only concern maybe being that Jean-Pierre does not stay in the lineup for the second game if Eric Rogers comes back. Looking at the defensive side of the ball, the Argos are getting a couple pieces back along the defensive line. Shane Ray is back in the lineup. Drake Nevis is as well. He'll come in as a backup. Cordero Law also coming in as a backup. And Charleston Hughes is listed as a third string on defense for this game. So I wonder, with the 2 games in a couple of days, I wonder if we'll see the Argos, because they have so much talent defensively and some pretty good talent offensively. I wonder if we'll see them kind of rotate guys in and out a little more than we normally do, just to try to, keep them well rested and managed for both of these games. So those are kind of some of the new pieces in the lineup. This week for Toronto. Also on defensive side of the ball, they are still missing Henoch Mwamba. They're still missing Cameron Judge. So a couple holes there at the linebacker position for Toronto. A team that is quite the lengthy injury report the past week or so. But it's good to see them slowly starting to get some of these pieces back in the lineup. So those are your depth charts for the first game of week number 10. Again, 2 games for both of these clubs this week. Double the points counted, 1 points for each game. Everybody else playing this week gets their regular points counted as normal. Make sure you get your lineups in before kickoff tonight, especially if you want any Argos or Red Blacks players in your lineup. And if you want to play CFL Fantasy alongside myself and other viewers, you can do that. You can check out the link in the video description. There's a link to the official CFL Fantasy site, the group I created on there for the Canadian Football Fantasy Fix. Do all the YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you like, what you didn't. If you have any fantasy questions, put them in the comments section or tweet them at me at CooperTrooper42. The link to that is in the description as well. It starts with a K. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.